So, Ant, on the recently we've been talking about exercises, rep ranges, and obviously with everyone being stuck at home at the moment, and people are dying to get back either into the pool or start doing some exercise. Um, in line with the stuff that we've been doing for the Mark Foster Swim Academy on YouTube, wanted to talk around some of the progressions, some of the way in which people can start to build up what they're doing, but equally to understand why we prescribe certain exercises to be done in a certain way before you start moving on to the next level. So I wanted to one of the questions that we've had around is reps and the number of reps you should be doing. So what do you feel around rep ranges and progressing on to the next sort of level? So we cover off rep ranges first.
So yeah, I mean, rep ranges, really what it comes down to is it comes back down to form and technique. So if you can perform, let's say, just as an example, a squat, you can do 10 repetitions without a problem at all, then that's great. But what you're gaining from it might not be the sort of best result that you're after. I mean, really, you're trying to train to failure, not all the time, but a lot of the time you want to get the most out of yourself. So really training to failure, basically training until your technique or your form disappears. I suppose the only time that might be different is if you're doing a circuit, for example, or CrossFit, whatever it is, because you're doing X amount of time or X amount of minutes, so that might be slightly different. But yeah, essentially, you could train until your technique or your form disappears, goes, and then you've obviously reached a goal with that.
Yeah,
you just gain a lot more from it.
So potentially you'll be saying that, rather than going for the 10 squats and do 10 squats, then I'm going to have a little bit of a rest. You could potentially say, actually, I'm going to do 20 squats. So I'm going to do 25 squats. As long as my technique and my form is correct, then continue on until you start, especially when you're doing things like body weight or it could be a lighter weight, when you're doing that more endurance based.
Yeah, exactly. And and the other important thing, I suppose, talking about sort of rep ranges and stuff is what level you're at, because of course, person A, person B are individuals, and it might be that person A is like you just said then, an endurance runner, for example. So they're going to have a lot of, aerobic capacity.
Yeah.
Equally, if person B is a power lifter, their workouts are going to be chalk and cheese, completely different. But essentially, that even with that in mind, you're still aiming for the same thing. So even if someone's a complete novice or quite advanced, it just means that the person that's a beginner, if they're reaching failure at their level, then that's fine. It just means that the advanced person might be going for twice as long or twice as many reps, essentially the same across the board.
Yeah, and I guess as well, within a swimming or triathlon specific focus, then you could say, okay, you could have, sprinters, you could have more endurance based. So you could be doing, 50s and 100s, or you could be doing sort of like the 400. If you're doing like 400 IMs and things like that, you're going to be a lot more endurance that you're going to have within that. Equally, when you are a younger swimmer or, younger into triathlons, and the training that you do tends to be a lot more generalized before you start to specialize into a certain stroke and a certain distance as well.
Yeah.
So the rep range that you would have would be maybe a bit more consistent. So you might vary things a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, obviously dependent on like you said there, the sports and what the event is. But yeah, equally, I suppose that, I mean, again, regardless of the level, essentially it sort of equates to the same thing, doesn't it? Everyone's trying to get the most out of their bodies, really. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I hate using. I won't use the old school "no pain, no gain" phrase, which I just did. I appreciate, but to get the most out of yourself and to see a result, it's not going to be a walk in the park. You know, it takes hard work and determination. You know, if you look at, let's take the extreme, like an athlete at the top of their game, for example. I mean, the weights they're going to be pushing, especially if there's something like a sprinter, whether it be in the water or a runner or whatever it is, the weights they're going to be pushing are going to be, you know, you do a set of that and you know about it. I mean, you're completely blown basically after just one set sometimes. But that's how you get the results.
And I think we see it a lot as well when we're away on the camps and the people that, you know, we train outside of camps as well. When you have younger kids starting to do some of these exercises that we teach on the camps, that you start to see that, you know, that they break their form down very, very quickly. One, because they're not used to the movement. And you know, their bodies are still, they're kind of growing, so they're not used to that spatial awareness of where their bodies are. Equally, they'll collapse. You know, if we're doing planks with them, for instance, you know, they'll collapse down. Oh God, that's really hard, and they just literally drop down, rather than learning that actually having that little bit of controlled pain actually isn't. Yeah, it's when it's acute pain and it's like, oh my God, I've just pulled a muscle. But when you're going through an exercise, it's going to hurt, and as you say, it's that, you know, it's going to burn a little bit.
It's really important, I think, for people to have an understanding of the difference between, oh, that's really hard, I'm going to stop, and the difference of, no, actually, you could carry on. It's just that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. But I mean, I guess a lot of that comes down to the individual. I mean, knowing your body is really important. I always look at it a little bit like a car. We all drive cars, and I know nowadays they're all going to electric and all the rest of it. But let's say, just for argument's sake, we're all driving these cars that most of us still have now. Like, you know, they're mechanical. There's an engine, the combustion engine at the front, whether it's diesel, petrol, whatever. The thing is, I think you drive a car a lot. I think you're being a little bit ignorant if you're sort of driving around. You don't know, I don't know, where the oil goes or where the water goes, or what point it needs a service, something like that, then really you're you're heading for a disaster with the car, because you're just ignoring things or not having an understanding of it. You know, you might drive it one day to the next and you'd never notice a difference with it. And I think it's the same with your body, you know, and just knowing a little bit about what it feels like fail at an exercise, or what it feels like to just hang on in that plank, or like you just mentioned there, for an extra 10-15 seconds, can make all the difference in whatever sport you're doing, or you know, whatever events you want to do, or exercise in general, because the more you do that, the more you will get to know your body, and you'll learn your limitations.
Yeah, and so the really important thing there is, it's the limitations. Your limitation doesn't stay your limitation, because every time that you get to the next bit, so that plank, that extra 10-15 seconds, actually I've now got that next level. Yeah, I've got that a little bit further. I've understood that actually I can push. And I guess the challenge comes with young children and young swimmers, young athletes, is that they don't understand where their levels are. So, and they don't understand that actually if I push that ceiling up a little bit higher, then I've got a bit more room, and my body knows where it can go. And eventually, as you know, as we've got older, we've learned that actually we can push ourselves significantly more to be able to get to that next level. And it's that when you push and when you train hard, that it's gonna ache the next day, or you might ache 2 days later. But actually that's a good thing, because your body has learned, actually I've got a new norm, and most of the time it's up here.
It is up there, yeah. I mean, just as an example, there's a lady I trained. She's probably, I think she's mid-30s. She started with me some time ago, and we've been working on ski squats. Now, I sort of know, because of obviously doing a lot of exercise, that these sort of isometric, or you know, static exercises, if you like, are, I think, worse than rep exercises. So like you said, a plank and things like that. She started off at 15 seconds. she would hold this ski squat. You know, I made sure she's in the perfect, you know, legs parallel to the thighs parallel to the floor, all of that.
Yeah.
She'd start off at 15 seconds, and she'd stop, and I'd say, "Oh, are you okay?" And she's like, "That feels horrible." And I'm like, I know, it is horrible, but it's quite important. She had a little bit of weakness around her knees and things like that. So this is the sort of stuff we're working on. And she's now doing a minute and a half, and that is in the course of over probably a couple of months.
Yeah. It's amazing what your body can start to build, and the progression that you see really quickly, and you do see that, you know, if your level is here, within a few weeks you can start to ramp up really quick, but then you have to then change things up a little bit to get to that next bit. So it's that progression, and it's about recognizing, okay, I'm now ready to go on to the next piece. But again, as you talked about earlier, that technique has to be perfect, and you have to be, you know, the way I explain it to people is that you have to be super critical of yourself, because if you're not, then, you know, the little cheats will come in, and, you know, it's like, well, I won't go quite down to parallel in my squat this time. I'll just kind of fake it, or I won't stand up all the way, or I'll lift my bottom up, or let my hips drop in the plank. And it's those little things that then start creeping in. So over time, you know, we've seen people in the gyms doing push-ups, and they're just doing that, and their arms are moving fractionally, which is great if you're on a pneumatic drill, but it's not going to do you any good if you're doing an exercise. Well, you're not going to get that range of movement.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, our bodies are an amazing organic thing. I mean, if you are doing something that you encounter pain with, your body and your brain is a great tool of going, hang on a minute, we don't like that, do this, and that'll stop that hurting. And of course, there, problem, because as soon as that happens, that means your technique is stopped. The reason it's hurting is probably because you're doing it right.
Yeah.
That might not be always. Fair enough. If you're doing something wrong, it might hurt as well. But essentially, your body will look for, you know, it's almost like an alternative power thing. It looks for something else. Oh, well, this will help. Well, it won't.
We are very good. So our brains work as very good efficiency engines. So our brain is constantly looking for ways to be able to improve things, to be able to save energy, because ultimately, you know, we were designed to run across the savannah and to roam for great distances. So our brain is constantly looking for ways in which it can, during the time when it's not doing anything, or it's looking for a way to be able to relax and conserve that energy. Our brain hasn't caught up with the fact that Tesco's is open, you know, the time, and that, you know, normally outside of like this particular COVID-19 situation we're at the moment, shops are open 24 hours a day, and we can go and buy food, and we can do whatever we want, and we can go and get takeaway, we can get a Just Eat or whatever it is, and they can come by and just drop food off for us. And our brains haven't caught up with modern living, and it's a hard thing, because nutrition is incredibly important to be able to help fuel the body correctly. So as well as getting the technique right, you want to make sure that you've got the right food in there to be able to get the most out of your body, because if you're not fueling it right, the same way as your analogy with the car earlier, if you put bad fuel into your car,
it runs rubbish.
It's going to run, and you're going to end up with a bill for thousands for a new engine, so or a new catalytic converter, or whatever it is. Your body is the same. It has, you know, it has a way to be able to get that fuel out of the food that you're eating. That energy goes into the muscles, and the muscles then have to be able to contract to be able to work properly. And if they're not working properly because it's sluggish fuel, you're not going to get the most out of it. And you know, both of us have worked with athletes that require better nutrition to be able to get the most out of their bodies and to be able to get to that next level. And that's the you know, technique is key, but fueling the body is incredibly important as well. So if you're doing your exercises, you are getting things right, and you're finding that actually I'm doing 20 reps now and everything's going really well, is that the time that they should start to then move on to the next level?
Yeah, definitely. So if you look, it's just progression. I mean, progression will only come if you've got the first key ingredient, which is obviously consistency. With exercise in particular, consistency is huge key to it. Even if you're managing to, you know, some people I know they struggle for time, so I haven't got time to do this, that, and the other. That's fine, but honestly, if you by stopping and starting, and I've had people like this over the years many times, you know, they go, I don't understand. I'm not getting any better. I'm like, well, because if you keep stopping for 2 weeks, every other week, you're just literally, it's like you're just maintaining a certain place you're in.
Constantly playing catch up, aren't you?
Yeah, massively. But yeah, consistency, and then like you say, you know, you're doing everything. It feels fine, and you think, to be honest, you know, when you reach a point in your head, you know, oh, you know what, this is easy. I could move on. I could do something else now.
Yeah.
Like you're out for a run, you know, everyone who takes up running, generally they start off, they go, oh God, that was terrible. I was dying after, you know, 1,000 meters or 1 kilometer.
Yeah.
Oh, surprise, surprise. 2 weeks later, you're doing double that, you know,
Yeah.
and then surprise, surprise, another 2 months later, you're running 10Ks.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's the consistency. You've got to just keep pushing, like we said a minute ago, pushing that a little bit further.
Yeah. It is ultimately the only way you get better is by doing the thing and make it repetitive. So, you know, you've got to have fun with it as well, but you've got to be constant.
There's a phrase they use in yoga quite a lot, which I don't really understand why they don't really use it in exercise as well. But a lot of people in yoga, they say, oh, they call it their practice. So, oh, it's my practice. But it's always my practice, as in, it's like they're never getting, oh, I did this exercise and oh, I've done it. You know, I don't need to work. It's always my practice, and I don't really understand why that doesn't stick with exercise as well. It's like, oh, I'm doing a circuit class, I'm doing a CrossFit today, I'm doing a heavy lifting session today, whatever it is. It's like, if we all looked at it, oh, it's my practice. You know, that way it's almost like you put it in your head that you've got a bit more to learn.
Exactly, and it's the same thing with you know, within swimming, that you have skills and drills, and within running and cycling and all those things, there are set drills that you can do to be able to help you. You know, with weightlifting, then, you know, with Olympic lifting, things like that, there is technique drills that you can do. Swimming, you've got technique drills. You know, whether it's finger drag or you're starting to do, you know, kicking drills as well.
Yeah.
Working on that, working on timing drills, working on the way in which the body is going to move, how it flows better, and ultimately it is like in yoga. There, you're looking for that flow within the exercise, so that the body knows what's coming up next.
And that's yeah. I mean, like going back to, you know, sort of athletes at the top of their game kind of thing. If they were to start ignoring the practice element of it, if you like the drills and those that. Well, that's going to have a massive knock-on effect. The result when they start having races and whatever it is, because if you've not been practicing all of that stuff, then you know, something's going to give way basically.
And I think one of the things that we see as well, so based around that practice, is that, you know, a lot of the time when you go and look online, and whether it's Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or whatever it is, when you start seeing some of the you know, a swim specific exercise, which is great, but ultimately they're already doing that in the water. Obviously at the moment people aren't swimming, but, you know, ultimately if people were swimming, then you'd have like this, you know, do this to improve your swimming, and normally it would be something which will be using, you know, those swim muscles already, which are already being used and potentially overused. So you know, the way that we always prescribe it is that actually we're going to do stuff which is going to help and enhance your swimming. So it's going to work the big muscles and equally work the stabilizer muscles, but we're working the whole body.
Yeah, and like you say, coming back to the progression thing, like you said, it's knowing the right time to take it up to that next level. Yeah, I mean, the thing with, it's a great thing having all of this information that we have now. You know, you can just Google whatever you want and presto, it's there. But the thing to remember is, of course, that we're all individuals. And I mean, some of the stuff I see on YouTube, and I mean, some of the people are amazing. Instagram, things like that, stuff they're doing is incredible. But it's important to remember, I think, you know, look at it and think, well, is that good for me? would that help me out?
Yeah. Is a human flag really going to help me at this
Yeah.
point? It's great. It's a fantastic looking exercise and it's like a real wow. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like when you watch things on TV, they're always showing you the best possible thing. You know, like, oh, it's like, yeah, we could do amazing exercise, but is it specific to you? Is it going to do you any favor? Probably not. But I mean, it looks really good in the gym.
Yeah. As an aspirational target, it's a great thing to be able to think, okay, I would in 6 months, 9 months, a year, love to be able to do a human flag.
Yeah.
But it's not really progressing me in the goal, that my ultimate goal, which is either to become a better athlete, whether that's swimming or triathlon, running, track, whatever. As an athlete, you want to make sure that you are functional for your sport.
Yeah.
That you are, able to cope with the demands of the discipline that you are doing. But equally, if you look at someone like Tarzan is he's running, he's jumping, he's swimming on vines, he's dodging crocodiles, he's fighting lions, whatever he's doing. He's not just doing a one thing. The way in which he trains is by crawling, he's climbing, he's doing other things.
Yeah, I mean, like that word you just said there, I mean, obviously we use that a lot in fitness, don't we? Functional. People see that, oh, functional fit. It's like, yeah, I mean, but is it functional for you?
Yeah.
If you're an endurance runner, do you need to bench press 150 kilos? Not really.
Yes.
I mean, it's an extreme version, but ultimately it's true. The word functional only works for an individual.
Yeah.
It's to find a class that's like, oh, it's functional fitness. Well, is it functional for me? It's asking that. This is really difficult to sort of generalize, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's the problem. We're all like little works of art, aren't we? We're all individuals. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point, actually. And if it's what works well for you. And obviously, as a young swimmer or as a young athlete, you kind of having to do what's being prescribed to you by your coach, and whether it's at school and things like that. But finding the balance, and as they start to get older and they start to progress through things, they'll start to understand a lot more. But equally, having that guidance to be able to say, you can do this, you can do that. That's the key thing. But equally, you have to be able to push those boundaries as well. Maintaining technique, maintaining focus, all of those things are incredibly important, because otherwise they lose the focus. They'll go off and do something else, and they'll drift away, and potentially the technique will start to drop away as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, that coming back to that point again, technique is everything. I mean, people, I try and drum this home to a lot of people that I've trained that maybe I start training that have, done lots of training in the past. So they might be in their 30s, 40s, 50s. That if you're doing it wrong, you're never going to get a great result.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for, let's just say, for example, I want to look great in a certain dress or a certain suit or whatever. Yeah, okay, but if you keep doing that exercise wrong, there's no benefit from it, really. You're never going to change your shape and your physique unless you're doing things correctly all the time. That's just how it works.
Yeah, ultimately there are no shortcuts to getting better. It has to be that it's progression, but it's a constant small step to be able to get to the next bit, the next bit. And it's obviously we started this by talking about reps and training to failure, and it's that getting to that point of going, okay, I can get this far at this level. You might back off a little bit and then go to the next level, back off a little bit, go to the next level. And it's that constant progression.
Always. I mean, like we always say when we're doing the swim camps and stuff, it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Any day of the week, 2 good reps is better than 50 bad ones. That's just that's just sort of science fact, unfortunately.
Yeah.
2 reps, you'll feel a lot better with the 2 reps than you will from the 50.
Yeah, but equally, so here's the thing, right? It comes back to that. you want to go to the big exercise first, it's the sort of like that ego that goes, oh no, I can do that one.
Yeah.
But you haven't yet learned the technique. You haven't yet learned how the body should feel as it's doing it. And again, as especially, you know, when we're talking about, you know, young swimmers and things like that, and young children as they're growing, the way in which they grow, their body, obviously their bones grow, their muscles grow, they lose their spatial awareness. So they become a bit gangly, they become, you know, a little bit less aware of where things are. So that becomes a problem. So they lose the ability to, whether it's squat or to push up to plank, whatever they're doing, they lose the ability and the strength to be able to do it as the muscles stretch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, we're not, make no mistake, doing a workout, I mean, it does take a level of concentration, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can't, it's not the sort of thing that you can say, oh, you know, oh, go and do a quick workout and, oh, I'll just churn out these, you know, you've got to have your mind set in the right place to concentrate and get things done right. That's where you're going to get the benefits from, really.
Yeah, we did touch on mindset, and, you know, giving up quickly is basically where the mind isn't yet set on the goal of what you're trying to do. So that mindset and that focus on completing your task is incredibly important, because that's the only way you're going to see that progression. Yeah,
and that's not to say, like with anything on this planet, you know, you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days.
Yeah.
It's important not to beat it. I get quite a lot of people that I train where they go, you know, this is ridiculous. I did 12 of those last time. I can only do 8 today. And I'm like, well, if you feel that you reach the end of then you feel like you reach, you know, you're not going to PB every single time you train.
It's a really good point. You know? Yeah, you have to listen to your body. Some days it's going to feel better than others.
Yeah, exactly. And that's everyone included, you know, myself and, you know, guy next door, whatever. It's everyone.
Yeah, I certainly notice it when I go out and train. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm really not feeling this. So I'll scale back my workout. I'll still do a workout, but it may not be a heavy weight session or a big run or something like that. I'll scale it back to see how I feel. And then when I'm in the middle of it, I feel a lot better now. So I might be able to then push a little bit, but you have to listen to your body. You have to understand that your body ultimately knows best.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm probably one of the most self-critical people I know. So I do get frustrated when I have bad days, but I also understand that that's just life. What can you do?
Yeah. No, it's perfect. And thank you for this today. And hopefully everyone will find this really useful. Just us two old men chatting.
Yeah.
So guys,
I might have been joined by my little one, but
cool. So if you guys have enjoyed today, please do like and subscribe to the MFSA channel. And thank you very much for watching.